Everyone, it's Tanya with All Things Dazzle, and I'm coming back to you with another video. I did a video not too long ago showing you how to create a rhinestone transfer using the hinge method, and I got a lot of positive feedback, but I also got some questions asking how I created the registration marks on the template in order to make the transfer. So I decided I would come back and I would make another video for you and show you how you add the registration mark to your template prior to cutting. So hopefully you'll stick around with me to the end, and I hope you will like and subscribe to my channel. It would definitely give me the confidence to create more Silhouette Studio rhinestone template creation content for you. So without much further ado, let me show you how you create the registration marks for your template. So the first thing I'm going to do is I have my design already done, and it is this X's and O's tic-tac-toe design. And I currently have it grouped together, but if I ungroup it, you can see that I have the design already in its respective layers. So we have this layer, we have this layer, and we have this layer. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just kind of group it all back together so that it all moves together when I decide that I want to move it. And I'm going to go ahead and move it out of the way for the moment. And because it is 3 layers, I need to have 3 pieces of flock. So I'm going to come over here and go to the rectangle tool, and I'm going to draw out a rectangle. Okay. I'm just going to draw out a rectangle, and then I'm going to go ahead and give that rectangle some color. And it doesn't matter what color you decide you want to color it, just give it a color. And because we have, well, before we do that, I'm just going to bring my design and I'm going to bring it to the front. And we just want to make sure that the design fits within the square, or which is our simulated piece of flock. And we just want to make sure that it fits. So I'm going to go ahead and make this a little bit larger. Okay. And I'm satisfied with that. So now that I have my box or my piece of flock sized to the size I need it to be, I'm going to go ahead and move the design out of the way. Okay. And as I mentioned earlier, the design is 3 layers. And so because it is a 3-layer design, I need to have, for this particular design, and it may change depending on the design that you're working on, but for this particular design, I'm going to make 3 boxes equal in size. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this box, and I'm going to change it to a different color. And then I'm going to go ahead and duplicate it again. And I'm also going to change it to a different color. So now I have 3 boxes on my screen. I'm going to come out here onto the design mat, and I'm going to draw a box around all 3 of the rectangles that I drew out, and I am going to align them. I'm going to come over here and click on the transform panel, and I'm going to center them horizontally, and I'm going to go ahead and click the vertical to make sure that they are all equally lined up together. So now that now that they're all equally lined, I'm just going to drag a box and I'm going to just kind of center it back on the mat. Okay. And then I'm going to just bring my design and I'm going to bring it to the front. And then I'm just going to position it onto the top layer like so. Okay. So now the next thing I want to do is I want to create the registration mark. So you can use any shape that you like. I happen to have drawn out a star, but you could also use a rectangle, you could use a circle, you could use a diamond, you could use any shape you want. You just want to have something that you can use as a guide when you're overlaying your pieces of flock to make your transfers. So I chose a star. Okay, it doesn't have to be very big. In fact, you don't want it to be very big. You want it to be rather small, because you don't want to have it be too large so that when you cut it, it doesn't, your flock doesn't cut, that area doesn't cut properly, or it's too large. And then when you try to remove the flock from the mat, it could potentially tear your flock. So I've just got a little star here, and large enough for me to take it. I'm going to bring it to the front, and I'm going to position it in the kind of not quite all the way over here in the corner, but I'm just going to take it and I'm just going to position it right about here. And I'm going to make sure that it is positioned away from my design, so I don't have too many issues when I am ready to brush in the stones. So I'm going to put one here in this corner, and I'm just going to duplicate my star. So I'm going to right click and click duplicate, and I'm going to drag another one over here to this edge of the template. Okay. And I'm going to select both of them. So I'm going to select one star, hold my shift key, hold my shift key, and select the other star. Okay, so now both of the stars are selected, and I'm just going to make sure that they are aligned either vertically or horizontal, at the bottom or either at the top. Doesn't matter which one you do, just as long as they have been aligned together, either top or bottom, okay? Because we don't want the stars to be in two different places when we get ready to line up our templates. So now that I have those aligned, I'm going to go ahead and right click, and I'm going to group those two stars together, okay? So now we have our two stars together. I'm going to go ahead and ungroup my template, because I want to be able to select each of the layers with their appropriate box in order to create the template. So I'm going to go ahead and ungroup, and starting with the first layer, I'm going to click my stars. Okay. I'm going to hold down the shift key, and then I'm going to click the blue square. Okay, so now my blue square is selected, my stars are selected, and I'm going to select one of the layers in the template. So I'm going to start with the red X's. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. Now that I have all three of those selected, I'm going to go over here to my modify panel, and I'm going to click on it. And from there, I am going to click divide. Okay, you want to divide what you have selected from the blue square. Okay, so now that I have that selected, you see part of the rest of the design is behind this blue square. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and right click and group. And then I'm going to drag. Oh, nope, sorry. Hold on a second. Let me go back. Okay, I'm going to hold my shift key. No, I don't want to do that. I'm just going to deselect. And once I deselect, here is my very first layer, okay, of my template with the registration marks cut out. Okay, so I'm just going to drag that one off to the side because I don't need it. Okay, and I'm going to go into my panels, and I'm going to select by color. And I'm going to go ahead and select the red because when we did the divide function, it released all of the circles from the template. And in order for me to get to the next part of the layer, I need to move that out of the way. So I'm just going to go again to panels here at the top of my toolbar, and I'm going to select by color. And then I'm going to make sure that my by fill option is selected so that I can see all of the fill colors. And I want to select the one that is red. So I'm going to click on the red, and you see that it then highlights all of the red circles. I'm going to then right click, and I'm going to group those out of the way. Excuse me, I'm going to go ahead and group those. And then once I group them, I'm going to move them out of the way. So I'm just going to drag them over here to the left, to the right, excuse me. Okay. So now we're going to work with our second layer, and we're just going to repeat those steps that we did before. So I'm going to grab my squares, excuse me, I'm going to grab my stars, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hold the shift key and grab the second star and group those together. Okay. And then while I'm still holding my shift key, I'm going to go ahead and grab the second layer. I'm going to pick the one with the X. So I'm going to grab that one, and I'm going to grab the yellow square, and I'm going to again open up the modify panel, and I'm going to click divide. We'll let silhouette go ahead and go through the motions. When it's done, I can then click on that yellow square. Let me first deselect. Well, while everything is still highlighted, let me go ahead and right click. No, I don't want to do that. Let me go ahead and deselect. And I'm going to go ahead and take that yellow layer and drag it out. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and drag it over here and just place it over here onto the left side of the screen. So what we have, so I'm going to go do that step again. I'm going to go to my panels. I'm going to click select by color. Okay, and this time I'm going to select the purple because that was a layer that we just cut through. And I'm going to go ahead and group it together. Okay, so now that it is all grouped back together, I'm going to take and drag it off here to the right, leaving us our last layer. Okay, and you can do one of two things. You can repeat the steps again by grabbing the stars. Okay, so I can grab one star, hold the shift key, click the next star, click the white tic-tac-toe box and our blue layer, and open up the transform panel and do a divide. Or you could just draw a box. Since this is the last layer, you could just draw a box around all of the objects and click divide. Okay, once we have divided that from the blue layer, we can deselect and we can drag that off over here. We no longer need the stars, so we can go ahead and get rid of those. So I'm just going to delete them. And then I'm going to drag a box around the tic-tac-toe or the white layer, and I'm going to right click and group that all back together. Okay, so, and drag it out of the way. So now when you're done, you have your 3 layers. You have, and what you would do is you would go back out to my YouTube channel and you would watch my video where I show you how you use the hinge method to create your transfers. And you would use the registration marks to help you line up the design so that you can layer in those rhinestones perfectly. So I hope you found this video useful. I hope you'll try it. If you have any questions, feel free to leave me a comment. But again, I hope that you will like and subscribe to my channel. It will help me and give me more confidence to come on and create more content for you. So thank you so much for watching. See you next time. Bye.